This is CNN Breaking News.
I want to bring you this breaking news just out to us coming out of Iraq due to increasing threats of violence. Here's what we know. Oil giant ExxonMobil is carrying out a major evacuation of its staff from the region. That is coming to us according to Reuters. Exxon has branch offices in both Baghdad and Basra. BP, that other oil giant, also reportedly evacuating some 20% of its staff over concerns about worker safety there. Of course, this comes on the heels of the news that Iraq's government and their troops have repelled a siege on Iraq's largest oil refinery that is just north of Baghdad, which at one point terrorists had taken control of. It underscores the global reliance on the region's oil supply, which is now at a 9-month high when you look at prices. Today, President Obama later on this afternoon will meet with congressional leaders to discuss and debate the crisis in Iraq, what, if any, the U.S. response should and will be. There seems to be very little agreement on what role, if any, the U.S. should play in stopping the terrorists' bloody march towards Baghdad. And the politics grow uglier. In today's Wall Street Journal, former Vice President Dick Cheney rips Obama's handling of Iraq, from the troop pullout to today's indecisiveness. In that op-ed, Cheney and his daughter Liz write, quote, "Rarely has a U.S. president been so wrong about so much at the expense of so many." We're going to discuss that in depth shortly. First, though, I want to get straight to Anderson Cooper. He is on the ground in Baghdad. Anderson, when you look at where the terrorists are, they're less than 40 miles away, 37 miles to be exact, we believe, from where you are. Just coming out from Nouri al-Maliki there, a statement on television talking about the fact that he says the Iraq government, his soldiers, are on the rebound. He says they have absorbed the initial shock of military operations, calling this a catastrophe, not a defeat. What is your sense on the ground there? Is that how it feels? Does it feel as though a corner has been turned?
Well, you know, it's interesting. In his statements in his weekly address, he said that it wasn't really a military defeat. It was a problem of political stalemate. That's what he said was the problem over the last several days. And as you said, he said Iraqi forces are on the rebound. There is not really sign of that. I would be very cautious. You know, you said earlier that the oil refinery in Beji was back in the Iraqi government's hands. I would be very cautious on that. That's based on a statement made by the Iraqi government. In the last several days, they have made a number of statements in the Battle of Tal Afar that they were still in control of Tal Afar. It turned out they weren't. So that may be wishful thinking on the part of Iraqi security forces or the Iraqi government. We simply don't know who's in full control of the oil refinery up in Beji. We know the entire area is under the control of ISIS forces, and they have been laying siege to that oil refinery. It's the largest oil refinery up in the north. It would be a major blow to this regime, and certainly they are trying to contradict a number of local reports from the area saying that that refinery is actually in the hands of ISIS at this point. So we're going to have to wait and see exactly who's in control of that. But we have not seen large-scale victories on the part of Iraqi forces. Certainly, we've known over the last 24 hours there has been intense fighting in the city of Baquba. ISIS and Sunni militant forces said to be in the western part of that city. They briefly took over a police station, took all the weapons from that station, and then moved back into western parts of Baquba. So it may be wishful thinking on Nouri al-Maliki's part to say that the momentum is now in the hands of the Iraqi government. We'll have to see what happens over the next several days.
And that brings up such an important point. I mean, you interviewed former British Prime Minister Tony Blair last night, and I was watching it, Anderson, and you asked him repeatedly if he thought that Nouri al-Maliki is able to do the political work to unite Iraq again. And Tony Blair, frankly, didn't know, and he said if he's not able to, someone else needs to. So in many ways, this is politics for Nouri al-Maliki, trying to hang on to his country and being able to unite it there. And so your caution about listening to the words of the Iraqi government is a good one. What is your sense from the people that you're speaking to in the streets? Do they believe al-Maliki can lead them through this?
You know, there's a great, in Baghdad, there's a sense of certainly optimism. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of concern. But this is a largely Shia city. There is a sense that they are drawing a line, that Baghdad itself will not fall. We've seen tens of thousands of volunteers heeding the call of religious figures here. Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani, who called for people to take up arms to defend Iraq. Largely Sunni Shia volunteers. And so there is a sense that Baghdad itself it will be able to withstand that. As ISIS forces get closer to the capital, they're fighting in more Shia-dominated areas, and those areas, Shias there are going to be more likely to stand up and fight. So there's a sense of confidence. But about the question of will they be able to retake some of the areas that have already fallen, that is a very open question.
Yeah, and whether this will become a divided country, especially given how much financing and funding they now have from the banks that they've looted, the gold that they have. I mean, this is a very well-funded and growing operation. Appreciate the report live from Baghdad this morning, Anderson. Thank you.